So, we are having a little bit of a rough morning with Mr. Jimmy. He is not feeling well, and we're just going to have to monitor him close. As I mentioned in an earlier video this week, we feel like that his time is starting to come. He is 13 years old, a little over 13. He turned 13 in August. And yeah, he has been really slowing down in his activity. He's been sleeping a lot. In fact, all he does now is just sleep. He has a very hard time moving. His back legs sometimes will give out. He's able to recover, but it takes him a little bit. And really, as the last few months have gone, it's been harder for him to eat. He has refused pretty much all regular dog food you could give a dog. I now have to, as y'all saw in another video, I now have to cook up some chicken breast and sweet potatoes, like skin the sweet potatoes, and cook all of that so it's properly cooked, it's softened and whatnot, and basically put that in a little mini Cuisinart so it chops it up into really fine little bites, because he can't do anything big. It's just too much for him. He's refusing medicine. He'll sniff it out and just won't even take it, so it's been really hard for us to give him anything. Sorry, let me fix the camera here a little bit. Yeah, so, and then this morning he ate some breakfast like he normally does. He's been kind of like eating breakfast a little bit. Like, he'll eat a little bit of breakfast and then he'll stop and wait, go out and use the restroom, and then come back inside and kind of, where you see us right here on the bean bag with a blanket for him to keep him warm because it's cold outside where we are. He'll usually rest for a little bit. When I get ready to go to work, I'll put him in the other room that you guys have oftentimes seen me in. I'll kind of switch out him and Atlas and put his food down so he can kind of graze. For the most part, yeah, I know. Am I disturbing your slumber right now? You'd like to sleep. Yeah. Yeah, and he's got bilateral eye infections, which I know I need to take us over to the vet for that. But at this point, I'm not even sure if I'm going to make that appointment. I think I'm going to call the vet today, because I have to head out because I have an appointment this morning, and then I have to head over to work. But I think I will call the vet and just let them know what's going on, because when he had his breakfast, gosh, the lighting is terrible. When he had his breakfast this morning, he came back inside from going potty, and then he threw some of it up. So the reason why that's a big deal is because the last fawn pug that I had, her name was Baby, she started, it was just one random week where she had like a strange little episode, and then it was like maybe a week later or maybe a few days later. It's been over 10 years, so, but she just couldn't keep her meals down, and she was still interested in food. He's definitely different. His interest in food is it's been declining much more, especially the last 2 to 3 months. So it's been a real challenge to try to keep him fed, to try to keep him inside of a healthy weight range for a pug, because a healthy weight range for a pug, I think they said, I know 18 is like the max, but typically a lot of pugs are anywhere between 18 and 20, even though they're probably supposed to be less than that. So, but our little Jimmy, sweet boy. So I certainly did not mean for this video to be sad, but honestly, this is kind of what we're dealing with over here in the Seago home. It's going to be kind of interesting. I'm going to call Sean after I talk to the vet and and just see what the vet says. You know, if they want to keep a slot open for us this weekend, just in case. Um, yeah, you know. I mean, I know you guys probably don't think that I'm actually feeling sad, that because I'm obviously not really showing a whole lot of emotion right now, but you know, I've been through this several times. I mean, we had to put our childhood dogs home, and I was sad as a child. I know my parents were very upset because, I mean, obviously, those were their dogs before they even had kids. They were very, very attached to those two dogs. I mean, I was sad as a kid, but I was nowhere near the upsetment I know that my parents were. But you know, when I had to put our cat down, I was very attached to him. His name was Sebastian. I was very upset about some other cats, but I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't as attached to them as I was to like the one that I really attached myself to. And then just over time, we've had other pets just pass away. And the ones that I've really clung on to, oh my gosh, yeah, I mean, you are grieving a full on loss. It's very, very hard. Um, I will say that I cried very hard when I lost my little pug baby, and then when we had to put Greta down in 2016. So, you know, but I'll tell you this with Jimmy, I honestly never expected Jimmy to get this far. So, Jimmy actually came from an abused home. We were contacted and anonymously, and he was going to be sent to the SPCA. Um, but we had room in our home to take him on because we had just adopted Greta. And y'all don't know who she is. She was our little black pug, wild, crazy, and just full of life. But she came from a really rough start, too. She was, essentially used and abused at a puppy mill. And so that had caused her several health problems. And in fact, when we took her on and adopted her, um, she was recovering from her second surgery. So, and fortunately at that time, I was not working. I was actually at home and I was job searching at the time. So it was actually really fortuitous that I was able to be at home with her and help her recover. The cool thing about the Pug Hearts of Houston, if you ever want to look them up, they are an amazing organization. I highly suggest that you go and donate, even if it's just $1. We adopted Greta through the Pug Hearts of Houston. They take their job very, very seriously. They do a thorough background check on you. They come and inspect your home. They do reference checks on you. You do have to put down a deposit to cover her. You have to show there's not so much financial verification like what we had to go through as foster parents, but they do require you, I think, to submit some like pay stubs and whatnot to prove that you are capable of providing care for this, you know, little pug dog. They really do prefer, they don't necessarily discriminate, but they do prefer you to have knowledge or experience with pugs because pugs are, they're just kind of one of a kind. And, you know, because they are a foundation that is geared towards placing pugs into people's homes. And they do offer you to straight adopt or they offer you to foster. Which is really just a phenomenal experience because a lot of times pugs are surrendered because their owners are moving, they can't take them with them. You have elderly couples that are just unable to physically care for them. I mean, there are circumstances where, unfortunately, dogs are surrendered in what I consider as innocent ways. You know, I mean, because you can't always help when that happens. You know, it's kind of it's bizarre though that there are places in this country that prevent you from bringing your pets. I mean, because I can't even imagine, like, can you imagine a place saying, well, we don't allow children, so you're going to have to forsake your children? I just don't understand that. I mean, pets are family too. They provide far more health benefits than a person or even people who try to put restrictions on people realize. I mean, truly, pets are cats and dogs and whatever type of pet you're into. They lower your anxiety. They help manage your depression. They actually lower your blood pressure and your cholesterol. They provide you companionship and an unconditional love that goes well beyond what human beings are oftentimes capable of. Because, and this is not to bash, our species, but we do everything in our power to love unconditionally, but we are human and we're going to have feelings and we're going to have needs and wants. And when certain feelings are hurt or they're just not met, they're not reciprocated in such a way, or if our needs and wants are not received in such a way or met in such a way, our emotional state changes on a dime. The most phenomenal thing about a dog and a cat, because those are really two of my experiences, they just, they're very steady. They're always there for you, no matter what. Yeah. And so he came from a very abused home. It was actually shown when we took him to, when we adopted him, we took him to the vet, as we always do, because whenever you adopt a pet, and strangely enough, this is actually how it is in foster care and adoption. When you bring a new family member home, you've got to set up a doctor's appointment, get everything situated and straightened out to make sure we're lined up with a doctor, and if there's anything that we need to be aware of. And the vet that we had at the time got really upset. It was actually Sean who took Jimmy to the office visit. I took Greta her first time. But, she got really upset with Sean because she didn't know that we had just adopted him. Like, she wasn't, I guess the vet tech didn't tell her. So she comes in, and she had been doing this for a while. And this was her dad's practice. So she had been literally like practicing vet medicine even before she could. She starts giving Jimmy a physical exam. Of course, we were able to obtain a portion of his medical records. Like, we were able to obtain the hip surgery that he had to have and the x-rays from that. You don't always get to have that with any kind of adoption. Sometimes, even with children, sometimes you don't always get the full story. So, anyway, so Sean had not been able to tell the vet the entire story first. She just came in, started doing the physical exam, listening to his heart, basically doing everything that, she needed to do. And she was just asking very brutish questions. And Sean's like, okay. And he's answering them, to the best of his ability. And then finally she accuses him of being the abuser. And Sean's like, we just adopted him 2 days ago. And her whole face was like, I'm so sorry. And Sean's like, no, it's okay. What are you exactly finding? Because the adoption itself was a little bit strange. And it was definitely, it was not as cut dry as Pug Heart's. Our adoption with Jimmy, and Atlas's adoption was very cut dry. His was through PetSmart. So of course, PetSmart, being connected to Banfield, they have all the paper. Well, they have as much paperwork as they can provide, but they make sure that the vaccinations are up to date and whatnot. Jimmy, he was overdue for so much. He hadn't had, oh my gosh. He hadn't had so much in a long time. It was a very strange adoption. Well, so apparently Jimmy had been severely physically abused. And at one point, from what she could tell, based off of her really feeling around, because she was like palpating certain parts of his body, like shoulders and torsos and his collarbone and just everything else. And she was really, and like she was feeling jaws and really just kind of moving things and trying to do things like that. And then she looked at the medical records that we were able to get and to provide for her and the x-rays. She actually said that he had either been thrown up against a wall or out of a car. And Sean, like, when Sean came home and told me that, I was just like, I was completely beside myself. I mean, can you imagine? Just little fluff ball. Of course, he was never this sleepy. He was always a lot more active. So that's kind of why we were surprised that he made it this long. I'm honestly very surprised. I'm just like, I think it's a miracle. I think it's, yeah, I think it's a miracle, because I think that has definitely shown that in a loving and nurturing environment, that any child or any pet can truly thrive. And I think the message that I would love to leave at the end of this video is, if you are on the fence about adopting or fostering, whether that is a pet, whether that is a child, and I don't mean to put children and pets in the same category. I know they're not. There are different needs that both a child and a dog or a cat has. But in many, many regards, because we have actually been doing this for a few years and we've had a lot of ages in our home, I will tell you this, especially very small children, babies and toddlers especially, they have a lot of the same needs as dogs and cats do. They want to be held, they need to be cuddled, they need to feel the love from you. They need patience and kindness. You're going to feel frustrated and angry and pissed off, and you're going to feel burnt out, and you're going to feel like you're just like you don't know how to do this because you don't know what's coming into your home. When you foster or adopt an animal, you don't know their past. You don't know what's happened to them and where they came from. There are things that we've had to learn over the several years that we've had Atlas. We've had him since 2013. We've had to learn his little quirks, things that really make him very anxious, things that make him feel depressed. He actually gets depressed. We actually had to take him to a behavioral therapist to learn how to deal with a dog's depression, how to deal with a dog's anxiety level, how to understand what triggers him when he feels very agitated and on edge. And he's a big dog, and so one of the reasons why we took responsibilities, because he is a big dog. We don't know what kind of dog he is. On the paperwork at PetSmart, it literally says mutt/mix. Literally. So we have no idea what he is. He kind of knows I'm talking about him. He's all the way over there. I don't know if y'all can see him or not. Can y'all see him? Hi, Atlas. Atlas. You can come over? Nope. See? But we've had to learn a lot of things because we don't know what breed Atlas is. We've had people tell us, oh, he looks like a pit bull. Oh, he looks like a lab. Oh, he looks part boxer. We've had a lot of people tell us a lot of things. My family's convinced that he's a pit, but that's all because that's just what they see. I've had people tell me that he looks like a boxer and a lab, and he looks like, some sort of like Dojo Argentino, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But, that's the thing. Pets, children, fostering and adoption, it's hard all across the board because you don't know what's coming in. I think the only good thing about children when you're fostering or adopting them is that eventually they do talk to you and they do explain or express what they want. Whereas dogs, you feel like you're dealing with the infant stage. You're constantly trying to figure out, what do you want? So if you're on the fence about that, though, honestly, go to an orientation, seek out an agency, or go to your local state and go to an orientation. Just check it out. It's not as scary as you guys think. It's going to be hard regardless of what you do. If you straight adopt a baby from an agency, it's going to be hard. If you go international and adopt a baby, a toddler, an older child, it's going to be hard. If you foster a child or foster to adopt inside the United States, it's going to be hard. Guys, it's going to be hard because these are kids. And kids are hard because we don't know them. So if you're on the fence, that means your heart is trying to tell you something. And forgive me, I'm so congested right now, so I'm I think when I played this back and edit it, it's going to be like sounding kind of goofy. But think about what you could give to a child. Think about what you could provide for them. I know you're probably scared. I've been doing this for a little while and I'm still scared. That's never going to go away. I'm always going to feel like I'm failing them. I'm always going to feel like I'm not doing a good enough job. And I have friends who are close to me who have been doing this even longer than me, and they look at me like, Aaron, you're crazy. You're crazy. We all have insecurities. We all have fears. We all have concerns. But if your heart is pulling you towards that, listen. Take a chance. Go to orientation. Ask your questions. Get connected to other foster and adoption parents. They are all over the place. They're mostly in churches right now. That's the best place to be. If you are not a religious person, if you don't believe in any religion, that's okay. I am not here to judge. But I am here to say, step over that line. You can hold on to your own belief, but step over that line. Go to a support group. Listen to the parents. You don't have to believe in what they believe in, but listen to the parents. Hear their stories. They're going to teach you far more than you could ever imagine. And what's been extraordinary for Sean and I don't mean to get too emotional about that, but even in Sean and I's darkest hour during foster care, when we had to disrupt a placement, when we were at our wits' end, when we were just so mad at the case and so many other things, we had people come together and help us, hold us, just give us love. I'm telling you guys, fostering to adopt, it's not scary. You're not a brave person. You're not a miraculous one. You're not an angelic person. You're not all of these things that people are going to call you. You're just a human being who has a desire to provide a child a home. And you're recognizing that you have the capacity to do it. It's hard because you don't know the child. The child doesn't know you. Give it some time. Take a deep breath. It will be okay. So as we enter into the weekend, I don't think I'm going to make a Saturday video. I think we're going to have to kind of keep this weekend pretty open in dealing with Mr. Jimmy. See if I can actually get a really good picture of his little puggy nose, because it's just the best puggy nose. I don't know, can you see that? Oh. But yeah, I think this will be my Friday video. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I hope that if wherever y'all are, I hope the weather is good. Down here in Houston, we are going to have wet, rainy, cold, windy, just your very typical wintry weather. And I love it if I didn't have to run errands. But I will tell you this, I'm very happy about it, and because I love this kind of weather. I love this kind of weather. This is where I'll play the Christmas music. So I hope this was helpful for you guys today. If this inspired you to go forth and to learn about foster and adoption, please do. November is National Adoption Month, and technically I should call it National Foster and Adoption Month. This is where you are able to learn everywhere you possibly can. So go forth, learn, research, ask lots of questions. If you have more questions, ask me questions. If you go to my channels on my on here on this, there's a channels list on my channel. So up at the top, there should be a tab that says channels. If you click on that, you'll see my top 5, where I'll say, check these out. Real life foster mom. Go check her out. She's a phenomenal channel. She's a small growing YouTuber. Go check out. It's a real life foster mom. Truly, she is amazing. She is amazing. She has half a basketball team living in her house. She's amazing. All right, guys. I love you. Be good. Be kind. Always be compassionate. And above all, love as much as you possibly can. I will see you guys Monday. Bye.